Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So we're going to talk about 15 different ways we can tell if somebody's using us. So as we're moving forward, what are the red flags that we should watch out for? Um, because narcissistic abuse happens over time. It's extremely slow for it to unfold. It's almost like a frog in boiling water. It can feel like it's safe and not realizing the damage that's being done. And that's kind of what happens in these relationships. So, what are some red flags? If somebody's constantly only contacting you on their own schedule, they're not concerned about yours. I know one of my ex narcissists would say he would call me, and he knew that I had to start work at 7, but I had some leeway time, so he would call at like 6:59, knowing that I'm about to start work, and that was almost like a way of getting out of talking. So you think that they're putting in the effort, but it started getting to a pattern every now and then where you're like, there's something up with this. Like, there's no way that this is finally the time that you can call me. Like, you can't call me 10 minutes earlier. So things like that are certain red flags. Also, if they're not taking you on an actual date, where they're taking you for granted, it's just little flings here and there. If they get what they want, then they don't spend the night. It's just one and done, to where they're not investing and they're not truly interested in spending time with you. It's just the act of sex or a free meal or just something to pass the time for a little bit. So some other things are, they say all the right things. They like the same things you do. They don't show their true feelings. They don't work through problems. They pretend everything's okay when it's not. They often will refuse to talk about commitment. So if they're not willing to talk about it, they're not interested. And this is where it gets tricky, because you don't want to come off on a first date and say, so are we getting married? There is times that you have to kind of trust the process, but after a certain amount of time, if it's not stated or obvious, then, or even if you need the discussion, like, yeah, we are exclusive. Sometimes you need that comfort, and there's nothing wrong with needing that. So if they're not willing to discuss it, either way, leaving you confused. Narcissists love to leave us confused. And a lot of times, another red flag is the people in our lives will see through our potential mates' actions. So if your friends or family can see through this act, take that to heart. They're seeing something from a more objective standpoint. And a lot of times, if somebody's super selfish in the bedroom, they're only wanting to be pleased. They're not willing to invest. It's not a free flow of like love. Like when you're making love, it's an interaction. It's not a one-sided take all. So that can be a red flag that they're not invested in you. They're only invested in their needs. And if you never meet their friends or family, that can be a red flag. They're hiding something, or they're hesitant to invest. They might have emotional incapacities to where they're not able to be emotionally invested. And that's one thing that we deal with our narcissist, is they're not emotionally invested in a two-way street. So sometimes if somebody's using you for your money, if they're financially dependent on you, and it's, sometimes someone can stay home to raise the kids, like you guys can discuss that kind of things. But if they're not willing to do their part and the household finances need both parties to work, or if they're asking for favors like, hey, can you pay my electric, with no intention of paying you back, and if they're always asking for favors and not willing to return those, it can be a red flag that they're just using you. And when they don't care how you feel, big red flag. And sometimes we set it off because aside because we see some of the good things that they do, but that's a lot of times manipulation tactics. So we got to figure out what this balance is. And if they're not affectionate, that can be a red flag that they're not wanting a relationship. They're just wanting other things. So if they ever ghost you, they're definitely not in love with you, because when you love somebody, you don't want to lose them, and you don't want to treat them like crap to where you could lose them. And the narcissist becomes so confident that we're never going to leave them, or they just don't even care. And it blindsides us. So we're investing more, and it's reassuring them that they can treat us however they want. And we have to be real careful. If people ghost you, that shows the level of commitment they have to you, whether it's a friendship or a relationship. And sometimes too, they'll show up at odd hours. They don't respect your time. They don't try to set up a proper date. They're just showing up because they're bored or they want sexual favors. It's a lack of respect. And also look at the person's reputation. That can tell you a lot about a person, how other people perceive them. And when somebody is playing the field where you're not their one and only, that right there can show you that they're not fully invested in having a relationship with you. And you deserve a one-on-one relationship. I know some people are polyamorous, things like that, but we really do deserve to get back what we invest. And the narcissist can set it up to where we're thinking that it's a one-on-one relationship, and they're off doing whatever it is that they want without regard for what that would do to possibly our sexual health or our emotional state, to where in a healthy relationship, you guys help each other through the tough times. But with a narcissist, they'll pass the buck. Like if your car broke down, it's going to be a hassle for them. They're not going to want to help you. They're going to say, can't you get somebody else to do it? And you know, how the narcissist treats us, we really got to take it to heart and accept that they're not invested in us. And that can hurt sometimes, but we have to have the self-esteem to know that we're worth being invested in. And we kind of throw off the balance too, where we kind of get excited about being with someone, and we invest a lot. And when we're investing more than they're investing, it sets a bad stage. So we do have to reserve ourselves a little bit to have them invest as much as we invest, and to try to keep that balance. When we start investing more, we have to back off for a little bit. If they're not receptive to that, or if they're not going to put forth the effort. But it gets hard when you're in a relationship where you're like, this is our life. We're going to be together. Let's make it the best that we can have it. And you think investing more is going to make it better. And this is where it gets tricky, because, you know, when two people truly love each other, they appreciate those kind of things as opposed to take it for granted. And the narcissist has a different way of seeing things. Sometimes they start resenting it, or because maybe they feel that, great, now I got to invest more. I saw something on a video where, you know, as far as sex, you know, the person has true intentions on being with you, then it grows and you guys have a loving relationship. But if the person's not quite invested yet, where they don't know exactly what they want, and you're having sex with them, eventually they're going to feel, in a sense, obligated to give you more when they didn't want to give you more. So they're going to discard you. And sometimes we have to hold back on our intimacy to make sure the person's fully vested. Some of you do what you do, but if you want a true relationship, um, you know, they said too that the person, like if you just hook up right away, um, does the person really want to be with you? They don't know you. They don't know you. So it's fun, and sometimes sliding versus deciding, where that was all right, we'll just kind of go with it. But they had it where if you wait, it's saying that in a sense that you want things to work out. And they have done studies too. The longer you wait, the more strong the relationship can be. It's an actual decision, like, yes, we're going to do this. Just some things to think about, because the discard can really hurt. And sometimes it gets confusing, like what went wrong? I see it all over YouTube, all these comments, all the pain, all the people that have been taken for granted. It's something in the narcissist's mind that just switches, where it's from white to black. All of a sudden they see you as either all good or all bad. There's no in between with the narcissist. And they talk about the narcissistic injury. What exactly is that? Well, it's something that hurts the narcissist's ego. And it can be something that you didn't do on purpose. You could, make a special meal, and they feel that you're trying to one up them, and you're just trying to make a special meal. Whatever this little thing could be, they don't always discuss what the problems are or the triggers. Sometimes they don't know what the triggers are. The triggers are something in their childhood, and they see that in you somehow. It's interesting that a lot of the abuse happened in childhood that caused the trauma, but also people are attracted to people like their parents, and it's really odd. It's really odd that you can be attracted to your abuser or somebody like your abuser. And the way that we can understand it is look at our trauma bond. We're attracted to our abuser. So when we're sitting here going, that doesn't make sense. Why would somebody go back to abuse? They just find it in a different person. We got to look at what we're doing. That kind of describes it. Makes no sense, but it's something that goes on in the brain. The dopamine, the serotonin, all the little breadcrumbing and the intermittent reinforcement and the wanting to be loved and fear of abandonment and thinking that we were safe. Because most of us have come from a better childhood where we had a safe environment for the most part. And we felt safe during that love bombing stage. And the narcissist knows that unless they create a safe space, that nobody's going to want to be with them. So they create this false sense of comfort, and we go with it and we invest in it. And then they say, letting the mask fall. That's when they go back to, okay, I got what I wanted, and now it's smooth sailing, so they can be who they are. Because it gets exhausting to them to do, because in the love bombing stage, they go above and beyond, and that's a red flag. So when they're going above and beyond, it gets exhausting to them, or financially exhausting. Sometimes they take you on beautiful trips, or creating this image that they can afford everything. And, you know, they'll go through their life savings and then end up uh, broke. And it's all about image. So we have to be careful that, we don't also expect love to be seen in money. But they change things where we think that um, we're going to have a certain lifestyle, and we would accept that we can't do these trips or things like that, but their pride won't let them tell you why we're not going on trips anymore or why we're not going out to dinner, which is fine. Just communicate it, because sometimes we're like, what's going on? Like, they don't want to spend time with me, or they're not going on trips with me anymore. And they're just not telling you the money's not there. I know I would accept that the money's not there, but sometimes it goes to our self-esteem. Like, what's going on? They don't want to go out to dinner with me anymore. Um, and it just gets confusing because they create a false image. And when reality hits, we're, I'm hoping this is coming out the right way, because it's a change in action. And sometimes we just want to understand why the change in action is. Is it that you don't love me anymore? Or is it that you're embarrassed to be around me? Or all these different thoughts go through our head. And if they would just say, look, I spent more than I have, that's a different situation than saying, oh yeah, I'll take you on a trip. I'll take you on a trip. I'll take you on a trip. And the future faking that goes on with the narcissist, that it leads to the confusion. Just the way they communicate is the biggest downfall. And it can hurt with all the lies and the crazy making, when we just want the truth. And unless people tell the truth, it's never a good outcome. All the lies and because you want to be able to trust in certain things, accept what can't be, but you need to know what that is. And intentions to me mean a lot. You intended to celebrate my birthday, but something happened. But if you never intended it and you made me waste my whole day and end up alone, it's the intentions that hurt. And the narcissist's intentions are self-serving. And they can drop you without concern of how it's going to affect you. And they just expect you to get over it. And the trust is gone when they repeatedly cancel or future fake. And, how many times do you give somebody a chance? And we give them chances because we take to heart what their excuse was. My grandmother just died, so we're feeling sorry for them, and we're buying them flowers or making them lasagna or doing whatever we're doing, babysitting their kids, whatever it is that we're doing. And they played us for a fool, because that never even happened. They're just trying to get out of doing something, or to use us to babysit so they can go on a date or whatever it is. There's a lot of red flags. And the hardest part about it is it takes time for those to surface and show until it's too late, just like that frog in boiling water. Sometimes they don't know until their very last breath. And some of you stay in these relationships to your very last breath. Some of you get out, you realize the danger, but can the narcissist change? And they go on waves because they love bomb and breadcrumb and love bomb and breadcrumb and back and forth and back and forth. And they know what they're doing. They know how to make up and put things back on track, but they don't consistently do that because of who they are. It's always going to be self-serving. So just like in the love bombing stage, they know they have to do certain things. And as the relationship gets rocky, they'll do the right things for a little while and then just go back, because their final intention is to be served. And they'll take and take and take till you literally feel like you have nothing left to give. Because we are longing for a comfort that we found as a child. And it's where two people give each other that trust and love and companionship. But the narcissist can't stay in that state. So they flip the tables and leave us in a state of need. Because they're self-serving, they're not compromising, they're not working through things. The cut downs that they do, sometimes they're subtle, like really subtle. But over time, it gets to you. The walking on the eggshells, the little jabs to where now you're not wearing what you want to wear. Now you're not going where you want to go. Or, we're sitting here trying to be respectful, trying to understand. And it's not a two-way street. So watch out for those red flags. And society's changing. And we have to look for red flags. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.